We thought it would be fun. Wars were always a civilized business, after all. It was supposed to be grand, sweeping, and romantic. Two armies would clash, there would be lots of daring do, and once this grand conflict was over, that was that. You didn't hold a grudge. It was a relief from the boredom of jobs at home. You got done, shook hands, picked up the dead, and that was that. We didn't have a quarrel with the other male. This was between our bosses, see? It's the way of things. We challenge a dominant power to see who is better. We were just following orders. We took their Jupiter bases, and wondered what all the hubbub was about further inward. Something about the targets we hit, I didn't understand. Sure, the bases didn't have any weapons, but this was war. We were doing our jobs. They opened up on us at the asteroid belt, with 100 megawatt transportation lasers and mass drivers. We didn't expect that. This was supposed to be civilized. They made us fight our way through the belt, forcing us to lose 10 fighters for every kilometer of space. They were using civilian equipment against us. Those lasers were for high-speed transportation, those mass drivers for cargo delivery. Why did they not use proper warships? We were just doing our jobs. The Martian colony. Here we thought would be the great decisive battle. They threw dozens of ships against us. They used their megawatt lasers and mass drivers. Their reaction drives burnt out anything that got close. They screamed their hate at us and we didn't understand. We were just doing our jobs. We dropped bombs on their colonies. We seized their stations. We took them fair and square, but they were savage. Our troops landed and they were gunned down by heavy machine guns. Machine guns designed hundreds of years ago, and their designs have stayed the same. Their rifles and tanks were certainly different, but that machine gun, that Browning, had stayed the same. And they screamed at us. They called in close air support. They planted mines. They did everything they could to bleed us dry. We destroyed what the officers said to. We blew up domes. We destroyed train lines, even those that had nothing to do with the war effort. So what? What's that got to do with us? We did it, but others ordered us to. And isn't it our right as conquerors? We were just doing our jobs. And their anger only grew worse. As we moved, they continued to throw everything they had at us. Soldiers sacrificed themselves so their fellows could retreat in good order. They did those kamikaze runs they are so proud of. And the prisoners were angry. We gave them supplies and still they cursed us. We tried to be nice, to compliment them on their skills, and they were silent. They called it interrogation. We called it friendly chats. Why do you force us to destroy so much expensive material? Damage to private property is very uncouth, you know. It's very expensive. You bomb civilian targets, the fighter pilot snapped at us. What the fuck are you talking about? Your people use private machinery rather than weapons to fight us. Well, you do both, but that's beside the point. We didn't hide troops in civilian domes, the pilot shouted. That was not my fault. We did what we were ordered to do. It was not my doing. The commander simply felt a show of force was necessary, and we carried our directives of our superiors. Necessary? You son of a... We had to restrain her then. What inspires this loyalty? I demanded. You fight as though more depends on you than your life. What demands such high sacrifices? If it means beating baby killers, she snarled, her head pinned by one of my soldiers. She managed to move it. We'll throw everything we've got at you. Someday we'll defeat you, and then you'll see who's laughing. I was flummoxed. Why do you do this? Why do you fight so hard? You're only doing your job. She seemed confused by that. Of course I am. I knelt down to where 3 of my soldiers held her. Yes? So why fight so hard? Why don't you defy us like this? Why'd you make us kill and destroy private property? She seemed baffled. What do you mean? I fight because I'm part of the UN Defense Force. Why else? But you don't need to fight this hard. We fight, one of us loses, we shake hands. That's war. She looked befuddled. The fuck is wrong with you, bug? What kind of war is that? Sounds like a slap fight. I tried to dumb it down for her. You plant mines, you set traps, you crash your ships into ours. What kind of war is that? What inspires this loyalty? This desire to sacrifice so much? You are but an employee of your masters. They demand no less than you doing your job and no more. You do not need to go beyond. She confusedly said, Because that's war, idiot. By the time we reached the lunar perimeter, our force was battered beyond belief. Forces were still fighting over Mars, and the Mercury and Venus attacks had been blunted. We finally encountered their war fleet. Many of the ships were barely finished. They had been pulled out of the dockyards still with workers aboard. Why was that? Our leader hailed their fleet admiral. He congratulated them for their clever tactics and admonished them for their unsavory techniques. He gave them a list of booty to recover, requested a refuel, and gave them a time frame for when we would be on our way. The war was over. We made it to their homeworld. This is how the great competitive wars are always done. Something about this confused the Admiral. This isn't a game, they spat. War isn't defending dots on a map, it's death. Vast organized death. Are you telling me you came all this way for fun? No, we came here to see who is better. That's the same thing. No, it isn't, our leader said dismissively. He paused. Tell me, what inspires this loyalty in you? Aren't you just doing your jobs? What? You're just following orders. So are we. What inspires this unthinking, undying loyalty? You're just following orders as all civilized beings should. We are just following orders. The comm line went dead. The humans unleashed a terrible display of firepower. They learned a long time ago that loyalty is not simple deference, and that war is more than just orders. It is not romantic. War is not a game to them.